I made money. I made a lot of money before I got the mindset stuff right. And I wasn't happy. And I know a lot of people that have a lot of money that are not happy. And I didn't understand why. The system's broken. Politics, education, religion, medicine, nothing. And I mean nothing is what it appears. I can help people. So either get solutions or get off the team.
All right, so we were talking briefly off camera, and we decided we got to turn the cameras on because we were having a good conversation. And we were talking about the journey and how you implemented your journey into the academy to help people grow and understand what you went through and the things that you learned along the way and how they can implement it to be better, learn more, learn about themselves. And the academy starts off right away with nothing that has to do with real estate, even though we get into in great detail how to be a great deal maker. But it starts off with people trying to understand themselves by understanding their gifts, their core values, their why. And some people, the reality is some people might look at these modules and say, I don't want to do this. I want to learn how to make money, James. Teach me how to make money. Why was it so important for you to get into the mindset stuff before you taught anything about here's how you can work a lead and here's how you can figure out your path in commercial or residential real estate? What is it that's so important about the mindset stuff?
The mindset's so important because I made money. I made a lot of money before I got the mindset stuff right, and I wasn't happy. And I know a lot of people that have a lot of money that are not happy, and I didn't understand why. So when you dive into and understand who you are, two things happen from a professional pathway. Number one, you find out what you love. You find out what your gifts are. You find out all of these different talents that you have, and you start to recognize when you're leaning into those things, it doesn't feel like work. Right? You can really get inspired to do better when you feel great about what you're doing every day. The second thing is how many people have not done that. It's the overwhelming majority. There's no stat that I think is valid to back it up, but life experience in the 50 years I've been on this planet, I could tell you 99 out of 100 don't wake up every day and like, I can't wait to go to work. You know, I'm fulfilling my purpose. And when I go to work, it buttresses my core values and my why, because people don't even know they have them, right? So it helps explain for people who are in the grind, hey, let's go backwards and take a look at who we are and where we are, and then we can change our circumstance and really be happy. And for those who haven't gotten there yet, it's hey, I did it this way, but you could also do it this way. And if you know from Jump Street, I'm still doing real estate, right? At a completely different level than I've ever done it before because I'm centered. I've addressed those pieces. Does that make sense?
Yes. So it's so tough. And within the academy, we talk about the quantum realm. And I remember when you first started talking to me about it, I was like, I feel like he's a character in a Marvel movie now, talking about the, different timelines and different things. And what is the quantum realm and why is understanding it such an important piece of the academy?
I don't speak about the quantum as an authoritative figure the way I speak about real estate because it's part of my journey. I know that it can feel like, what is this guy talking about? And for me in my personal journey, when we did the academy, if you remember, a lot of late nights with huge butcher block papers that literally loop my whole basement.
People need to understand that this has been years of trying to figure out the right steps of the academy.
Yeah. So outlining how the last 30 years happened in chronological order to share my journey was super important for me because this was not intended to be I did it, I made it, you do these things and you will make it. It's quite the opposite. This was my journey. This is how I got here. And if you don't see all the mistakes and all of the difficulties, you can't understand how incredible the final place has become. So for me, going through all of the different steps that I watch you going through, right? And as much as we joke around, and deep down I probably can't stand you, but it's really uplifting to see changes in you, to see changes in Peter, to see changes in the team as they start to buy in. And I would have had the same reaction to the quantum stuff, where we are a part of source. We are imagined like we're projecting on the screen. And what our subconscious thinks about is what we project. We do control that reality. I would have laughed you out of the room if you would have brought this stuff up. I had to start with so many of the things that I teach in the academy. The importance of finding your why and your core values first, foremost, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and 10th, right? Then, how do we write goals? And as I went through the journey, reading about the Harvard study and these different things about goals and how effective they are. You're a skeptic at first. I was. And I said, let me try it. And you start to try it and you see proof of concept. I needed that proof of concept. Not everybody does, but I did. And I'm like, wow, okay, these goals are working. And then I noticed I can go past those goals, but I was almost fixating on only stopping at those goals. So then I weaved in the declarations that were supportive of the personal things I wanted to do to get past my goals. And those things started to happen. And it's like, okay, by me writing this out, and I had no idea the quantum existed until a few years ago, I just know that it's working and I'm changing. And you and I have talked about, launching the academy was one of those things. That was a declaration for me at one point. And if you don't get it done, you start to feel like a fraud, right? And that can be dangerous. And part of what I wanted to talk about is when you start beating yourself up over these things, you're now projecting the negative reality. And I didn't know that existed, Mike. I just knew that for 45 years, I got here through grit, hard work, tenacity, intention, diligence. You would not outwork me, period. Didn't matter the cost. But with that, when you miss, and you will miss, everybody misses. When you don't write your declarations for a day, when you don't do whatever the practices are that you're doing in that journey, I don't want to tie it just to declarations or just goals. My answer was, you're a fucking fraud. You're pathetic. You're a loser. Really? You couldn't take 15 minutes today to write these things out? Really? And then I would get pissed off at myself. I would get angry and I would double down, triple down, quadruple down. What I didn't realize is, like, even saying that now, it feels disconnected. It feels like it was a different person. That was projecting negative. It was projecting you are a loser. There's that whisper in the subconscious. You are not good enough. You are a fraud. You are a failure. And then you start to project that. And I didn't understand any of it. Vision boards. I'm a super visual guy, so it was easy for me to make vision boards. And I would start focusing on those things as part of my routine. And then those things would play out. That day with the press conference, I saw where the table would be and the reporters would be standing before it was ever even a concept. But that becomes limiting as you get further and further down the journey. Once I was introduced to the quantum, and you have to find yourself first, because it's very dangerous if you don't. The quantum is happening with all of us everywhere. I didn't realize by visioning something so clearly in a real estate project that was quantum. I didn't realize by writing the goals out, it was quantum. I didn't realize by writing declarations, creating vision boards, it was quantum. But I had to go through those steps to even believe in any way that you can just focus on it. And if you think about it and you feel the emotion that comes along with it, it will happen, good or bad.
I think it's safe to say you're more disciplined than 99% of people out there. And people taking the academy might not be on that same level of discipline. I think it's also safe to say you're very hard on yourself when it comes to certain things. So if you miss your declarations, the way your mind works is you start calling yourself a fraud. You say you're a fucking failure, et cetera, et cetera. Some people, maybe majority, will just say, I'll pick it back up tomorrow. I'll pick it back up tomorrow. It's not a big deal. Whatever, I'll get to it later. What would be your message to those people that don't think like you?
It depends on the individual, and I used to be very hard on myself, as we just talked about, and I was driven by fear of not being good enough, fear of failure, fear of not meeting expectations that others had put on me. And for me, it was a powerful motivator that worked in the time, considering the access of information that I had. Not access, there was always access. Considering the amount of information I had consumed at that point on a different way. So it worked for me, but it also worked very much against me. So let's talk about the next two pieces of this. There's a big difference between discipline, and I think that it gets lost in, if you're disciplined, you have to be disciplined for life, and I'm more disciplined than 99% of people. Up front, probably that's true, not for great reasons in the past. And here's what plays out. 60 some odd days, 62, 64, depends on the study, for you to break a habit and create a habit. Mm-hmm. So it's stacked. It's 62 and 62. So we're talking about 4 months and change, right? That applies to overeating, smoking, exercise, any of it. Once you get to the 4-month mark, it goes from discipline and motivation and intention to habit. So the same feelings that you may have as you're going through this and you're missing are the feelings you'll have once you create that new habit. You'll feel because even though you're rationalizing it, right? Like, I'll just pick it up tomorrow. Something in you is going, I should do this. And I would challenge you to say, if you're in those moments, are you completely content with life? If you're not completely content with life, take the 15 minutes and just get it done.
That's how I feel when I think about the gym sometimes. Like,
just get it done. And don't worry about tomorrow. Don't worry about next Wednesday, next Friday. Don't worry about you have to do X amount this week. Just worry about, am I really happy with where I am? And if I'm not, isn't it worth it to take out my book and write my declarations or review my goals for 15, 20 minutes? In all the things that we do throughout all the days, like I was the president and CEO of, I don't have time. I'm too busy. I'm always working. And I learned I had the same time everybody else has. It's how you allocate the time that really matters. So once you get past the 4 months, discipline, like, you think there's days, I'm sure, where Goggins has his fights and there's always going to be those off moments. But I assure you, the way he works out has become so habitual, he feels far worse when he misses than he does when he's looking at his sneakers, as he's referenced. There's sometimes in the morning I look at the sneakers, I'm like, those fucking sneakers, I got to put those things up. But if he doesn't do it, those fleeting seconds that it takes for you to make that commitment is so much better than lamenting that you didn't do it. That track?
Yes. So with that, we always talk about mimetic theory. There's always a bad guy. And we could use it in a political, stance, just so people understand, the left points at the right for whatever, or the right points to the left, and they're always showing their flaws. Thinking about how we self-talk to ourselves and how we have doubts in ourselves, like, maybe I'll just do it tomorrow. Maybe I'll get to it later. Is there a world where mimetic theory literally lives within us? You always see cartoons or shows of the devil and angel on your shoulders, right? That's how I look at it when we start talking to ourselves, right? So when you start saying, I'll just get to it tomorrow, is that the bad guy talking to yourself? I'm trying to put this in perspective.
So you
I don't
hit on something so profound, you don't even understand how profound it is. Not only is there a world where that happens, it is the world that we live in. The construct that we are in, our thoughts are not our own. Our emotions, which come from our thoughts, are not our own. They have been programmed. Very systematically and intentionally programmed. And from the cartoons, through the commercials, through the movies and TV, through the press, through now social media in a dangerous way, and why we had to do this now. Once you find that inner voice, you're not nearly as susceptible to those other messages. In fact, not only are you not as susceptible, you will get to a point where you can't unsee it. And it's everywhere. People are telling you and programming your subconscious intentionally how to think, how to feel. And once you've found what's inside, the social media thing, we all know we need to get kids off of social media in the amount of time that they spend in it. We're going to legislate it. We'll lock up your iPad. Well, I was an entrepreneurial kid. If social media was around and I wanted it, I would have got on it. You can't legislate your way out of it. You can't legislate your way out of almost all of the big problems that we have in the world. You have to get people to feel it, to feel good about themselves, to understand who they are, how powerful they are, and then they won't want to be on social media as much. They won't want to engage because it just doesn't feel like it's in alignment. The more and more centered I get, the more and more time I'm finding I'm spending outside. I have a friend that's gone through the academy. We were just talking about it this morning. And he's like, I spend more time in nature now than ever before. And hours that I would spend doom scrolling, I just can't do it anymore. You just can't unsee it. And not only is it a possibility, it is the world we live in, and it is intentional.
Yeah, to that. I'm on social media. I can get lost in social media, but my vice, as you know, is I love to pick up a controller and play a video game. But I'm finding myself getting disconnected more and more. Once I get the kids to sleep, my wife is asleep, I'm like, yeah, let's go. Now I'm like telling myself, I don't want to wake up tired. I don't want to wake up feeling like shit just because I wanted an hour or two on the game. Let me go to bed.
It goes beyond the physical tired. It goes to
100%.
What you're thinking when you're sleeping, what you're thinking when you're awake. Again, 95% is in the subconscious. And when you wake up and you think you don't feel good, you will not feel good.
Yeah.
And so much of the world is stuck in that paradigm, and they don't even know the chains that have been put on us.
And this is where, this could be a whole other conversation of you wake up tired. I'm tired. Let me go grab my energy drink. Oh, let me go grab my coffee. You don't need that.
No, you don't. And look,
we all have the vice.
I love the coffee.
Yeah.
And it's, for me, it's just, I enjoy it, and that's it. So I'm gonna continue to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But it's not for energy anymore. Like
for
it used
pleasure.
to be, it's a pleasure. It used to be, I gotta have my coffee, I gotta get going. I'm too tired, I need to get a cup of coffee. Now my energy comes from within. And I've never had more energy, I've never gotten more done, and I've never put less actual hours in the office in my life. And I'm doing infinitely more than I've ever done.
I know we're short on time, but it just shows why if someone were to take the academy, take the first 6 modules, and if you don't want to learn real estate, be on your way. Like, if you take the first 6 modules and then apply it to what you want to do, you want to be a vet, you want to be a cop, you want to be a firefighter, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that's more than enough.
Yeah, the first 6 modules are by far, for me, the most important. But what I wanted to really convey is I'm taking you through my experience, and there are so many books that talk about goals. There are so many books that talk about declarations. There are so many books that talk about vision boards. And I cite many of them because they're great books and they were very helpful for me. When I got to quantum, I recognized those things didn't serve me anymore. Mm. They served me in my process of growth. It was proof of concept that I needed to take that next step. So I didn't feel like talking to Doctor Strange and there was a multiverse, right? Like, it would have been so foreign to me. I just wanted the people to understand you will be at different points in your journey. Certain things may serve you, certain things may not. And while I try to disclaimer it all the time, like, hey, this just worked for me, what I'm saying is you'll know, you'll feel that spark. Lean in when you do. You may be ready for quantum. You may never be ready for quantum. But I went from none, grit, tenacity, and misery, and I landed here, and here's how I got there.